Hi guys, so today I am doing my top 5 books of 2014. I've decided I wasn't going to do a top 10 or a top 14 of 2014 simply because I read 33 books. So doing a top 10 would put me at roughly doing one in every 3 books I read, and if I did a top 14, essentially I'm doing one of every 2 books I read, so I felt like that was an accurate picture of the best books I read in 2014. I have narrowed down my top 5 to my top 5, but I have not ranked them in any order, so without further ado, let's get into my top 5. The first book in my top 5 is The Pledge by Kimberly Durning. This is the first book in her Pledge trilogy, and I read this at the beginning of the year, and I absolutely loved it. It stuck with me. I want to read books 2 and 3 of the trilogy in 2015. And essentially, this book is about a girl who can understand any language, and she's only supposed to understand the native tongue to all citizens and her specific essential sect of language that she's supposed to understand, but she can understand all languages. And the society she lives in is a queendom, so only women heirs can take the throne, and the queen of this queendom is actually dying, and so she either needs an heir to become queen, or she needs an heir that she can take her body of in order to stay queen. So that's kind of the problem in this book, is the queen's trying to find any person to take over the queen, and there's a lot of problems going on in the society. And it's forced everybody into the center of town, which is where the main character actually lives. I really liked the love interest. I didn't necessarily feel like it was instant love. I felt like it was I really just fell in love with both the characters. The writing style was fantastic. I loved reading it. I found it was a page turner. It was easy to read, and I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, which I gave all of the books in my top 5 of 2014. The next book is Perfect Ruin by Lauren DeStefano, and this is the first book in her Intermittent Chronicles trilogy, and the second book is scheduled to be released in 2015. I absolutely love this book. I love the premise of it. In this book, the characters live in the sky. So at some point, the gods decided that they were going to split the people, and some were gone to the sky, and then the rest remain below on Earth. And she's never seen Earth, but she's always kind of wondered if something else is outside of their perfect city with their perfect weather. And she's always wondered if there's something more. And without giving any spoilers away, the reason I love this book is I love the characters. I love just seeing the way that the world was built. I found it very fascinating, and I also loved the writing. It was very, very lyrical, and also the way she integrated essentially 2 storylines into one plot. I really enjoyed that, and I can't wait to pick up the next book. The next book in the top 5 is one that I actually finished late last night, and it is Heroic Measures by Jill Ciment, I think. And this book really took me by surprise. I absolutely loved it. It is not a YA book. It's a adult contemporaries, I think what they listed as, although I would disagree and say it's a mix between a contemporary and a thriller. I found the book to be just amazing. It was beautifully written. It was a page turner. It was very short and quick and easy to read. I got into it really, really fast, and I essentially read it in one night, minus the first 8 pages. It follows 3 main characters, Alex and Ruth, which are married, and then their dog, Dorothy. There are 3 separate plot lines going on in this book. So the first one is Alex and Ruth are of old age, and they're needing to sell their apartment and move into something different. So they're going through this whole time in their life where everything's changing, it's not the same as it was, and they're having to essentially give up this place that they've loved their entire life. And then the second plot line is about the dog Dorothy, who very early on in the first, I want to say 20 pages, actually hurts herself. And so they're having to get her to the hospital and hopefully find out what's wrong, and hopefully they can fix it. the doctors can fix it. The third plot line is, because this book is set post 9/11 in New York City, there's a lot of hysteria going on in the city. Just freakouts over everything, and there becomes this traffic accident, and it's unclear whether this traffic accident is nothing more than just a freak thing, or if this was an act of terrorism. So the entire city is in a panic, and the entire book, up until the very end, you're really having to decide yourself as a reader whether or not this is just panic or whether or not this is real and you should be freaking out. And the characters are going through this whole decision themselves. What I liked most about this book, though, is I really liked seeing the character development and also some of the questions it raises. I believe the two main characters are Russian Jews, so that's very interesting to read about, especially since they've survived the Cold War period and the scrutiny in America at the time, and just seeing kind of the impact that's left on their lives. And also, really, it deals with questions of how far do your morals and ethics go when it comes to money? Is money really more important, or is your staying true to your ethics and morals? And the book actually doesn't answer the question. It leaves it up to the reader. The ending is very open-ended. It's not tied in a little bow. And typically I don't like that. But in this case, I really did. I really liked what I walked away from. It was very thought-provoking and different than anything I've read. I think if you're an animal lover, you'd absolutely love this book. And if you know about the current events of 9/11 here in the United States, I think you'd kind of be interested to see the author's take on the city after that time period. The next book in my top 5 of 2014 is a book I read myself for the first time, but I'd had it read to me back in 3rd grade by my 3rd grade teacher. And this book is the last of the really great Whangdoodles by Julie Andrews Edwards, who is the famous Julie Andrews actor. And I absolutely loved this book. It's about 3 main characters. They're children, and they're really learning that not everything is how you see it, and imagination is one of the best gifts. And they're on this quest to find the mythical and great Whangdoodle. I absolutely loved it. The elements of this book were great. There's so many great quotes I love. If you look on my Goodreads, you can see some of them are my favorites. And I just really like this. I think adults and kids of all ages would love it. And it's not a book that a lot of people talk about or even know about. I wouldn't have known about it if it wasn't read to me at a young age and really stuck with me. And I wanted to read it for myself. And there's a lot of things that when I was little I didn't take away from it, like all the lessons and just the beautiful writing. I just kind of took away this image of what I picture the Whangdoodle to look like. And it's a very heartwarming tale, so I encourage you to pick it up. The last book in my top 5 of 2014 is going to be Unravel Me, which is book 2 in the Shatter Me series by Tahereh Mafi. I will say that I have not read the 3rd book in the series, Ignite Me, all the way through. But I absolutely loved Unravel Me. I do want to pick up Ignite Me. And for any of you who have read this series, I am Team Adam. I do understand why people would like Warner. I just particularly like Adam, and let's face it, I would date him if I could. The book is written in a very different style format. Tahereh Mafi's writing is almost poetic in a sense, and I don't typically like poetry, but I really enjoyed it in this book. I liked the way it flowed. I liked the powers that Juliet had, and I just, without spoiling the entire series, if you're interested in the dystopian type books, this one is very different. It takes a different spin on things. I would pick it up and give it a try. If you didn't like Shatter Me, I would still pick up Unravel Me, because in my opinion, Unravel Me is 10 times better than Shatter Me. And not to mention, the book cover is extremely beautiful. So yeah, I will see you guys in my next video, and I hope you guys had a good 2014 and best wishes in 2015. Bye!